Yeah, hi, Andrew Williams. I'm the health industry lead at Appian. So I'm accountable within our business for the growth of Appian and really helping our customers in this region and also potentially new customers understand Appian's benefits and capabilities.
Love it. Tell me more about those benefits and capabilities, because we only just got to talking prior to hitting record, and really interested in learning about what you do and the problems you solve.
Yeah, Appian's whole focus is around managing complexity in a process. And I think what we see from organisations is that opportunity that there's that vision of where they'd like to get to. And more often than not, they sort of start small and work their way up to that. And we'd like to be able to support them thinking further ahead. So what's that leapfrog moment? So one of our customers, that was the big thing. How do I take that leapfrog moment? How do I use some of that outside-in thinking from other industries and that platform thinking to actually leapfrog that technology boundary that more often than not, they're sort of, yeah.
You know, addressing complexity in healthcare, there's a lot of complexity in healthcare. So, love to know, what does that look like? What are the things that you create in order to address that complexity?
Yeah, no, that's great. So we think about the different sort of solutions and capabilities, and Appian is a platform play. So, yeah, it's all about providing the different use cases that we support. So for us, when we think about scale, it's that coordinated care at a scale level. So in the US, so we provide care coordination platform with our partner Ignite that provides it for large-scale 3 million citizens at a scale of being able to manage those pathways. So but also allowing the customer to go and make changes to those pathways, evolve those. And then for us is then those AI skills and capabilities you can bring into a process. So at a care coordination level, let's call it the ideal scale of the sort of things we love to do. But then we come back to just simple, in some cases, invoice processing. So with NISQ, which is in Queensland, is just around how do we support to better process invoices and management and digitise those processes that are just costing them a person sitting in the back office. So you see that sort of complexity from the really complex things in care coordination, but then back to other areas which are really quite operationally labour intensive.
Yeah, and I guess there's understanding procedure and all of that. And you talk about platforms. So these are bespoke software solutions that you're building for these. Talk about taking some of the complexity out around the software side.
Yeah. So if it's on a software side, it's that great middle ground, I think, between if you could buy something that does exactly what you want to do, you go buy it. I think that's always very clear. Do you want to build it from scratch yourself? Probably not. And Appian provides that low-code platform, the integration services, the patterns, that reusability that allows an organisation to say, I know I can't buy it, but I can buy 80% of it built, and then I can now configure it to actually support the workflows I need. I can bring services and automation, and I can bring those integration patterns that I can then reuse. Get patient is get patient. I can use it again for another pattern. So whether that's at a care coordination level of I'm building a care plan, what does that look like? I'm versioning control that, or right down to I'm using document processing to understand, integrate it, take an invoice that's been faxed in and digitise it and then put it into a workflow that somebody can actually manage it.
Yeah, love it. Okay, and so here at HIC, what brings you to the show?
Yeah, look, for us, this is a great opportunity to come and talk to customers and show the industry sort of Appian's presence, what we're doing. I think as we've talked before, Ramsey won our innovation award from a global scale, and they won that. Westpac was the other organisation in APAC that won it for Appian. Ramsey was also recognised as part of their the CIO 50 awards for what they did in delivering a patient-centric view and application and the transformative role that is. So that's not just in healthcare. That was how does that from a customer service lens. Ramsey won that, and a core part of that platform is built on us. So that's a really interesting opportunity of somebody, again, with that leapfrog thinking, of thinking, okay, how do I now build a platform-based approach that allows me to manage from a referral and working through to that whole discharge process. So that longitudinal sort of operational record, while an inpatient or an outpatient record might be quite easy, a clinical record, what's that longitudinal record of process look like?
As you're talking, Andrew, I'm thinking about maybe in other industries too, as technology evolves and is perhaps more accessible in a way to those that are, creating tools, there are some of the technology and stuff we've got available for us today 5 years ago would only be available to a large enterprise, if at all. So there's almost like this democratization in the sense of like anyone could build a particular solution, or a department within a health system could build a really bespoke thing. What's exciting you about this, I guess, directionally around technology and some of the cool emerging tools coming out that you can start applying that might benefit, say, the health system?
Yeah, look, for us, the piece I think about is, we talk about it as a clear box. That ability for an organisation to have a guardrails and governed platform that has all the components within it. So it's life cycled, it's delivered for those organisations, but that is then empowering, as we would talk about, those citizen developers, whether it's a clinical developer, but allowing those people within a low-code environment to be able to go and build out their own capabilities. But for the, in reality, the ICT leadership, the digital leaders, to be able to know that they can enable them to do that, and they're not creating sort of that technical debt of the future, or I built this thing and it's really great, but there's nobody to support it, or there's no structure to life cycle those applications that they built. So it's sort of taking that access spreadsheets and databases and things that were being built years ago. So in some cases, it's taking them and actually helping people to digitise those at scale. Really interesting paradigm for us. And then we've got our partnership with Amazon, which is a core piece of bringing AI capabilities to the surface. So how do you deploy those within a workflow, within a construct, and bring in those AI skills that, again, it's just democratising that, allowing people to have access to, this is a proven or a validated skill that I can apply in this context. It doesn't mean it's the right context or the right time, and people need to have oversight on that. But I think there's really interesting opportunities to bring that power of sort of when we think about if you're using Gemini or ChatGPT. So yes, I'm using that in my personal space. Maybe it's a corporate space, but copying, pasting stuff into there to then give you a result to paste it back in doesn't give you good governance. And I think that opportunity to allow people to have that all embedded with an environment that's powerful.
There's something, I think about, regardless of the platforms that exist, like, big infrastructure that's been rolled out at a top level, you're never going to avoid individuals that have particular workflows that might need to deviate for whatever reason, that don't find its way onto a well-written procedure. So that's why there's a spreadsheet, or that's why there's this access database that someone's built. It's pretty clever what they've done, but it then unravel, and all of a sudden something else gets connected to this, and then you try and backpedal something. So to be able to have an environment, like you say, that allows people to build something that addresses particular problems, I can see how that would add some value.
Yeah, and it's great, and I suppose that's where I see care coordination in a sense. It's not about, it just does care coordination. Care coordination is the ability to empower those units, those teams to go, I've got my baseline, but I need to now create this version, or I need to change the swim lane, or I need to actually have, in this case, we've got a new pathway, we've got a new service we need to provide. How do I now cater for that? Yeah, I need a governed way that I release that updated process and quality check that before I put it into production. But that ability to support people to go copy a process, make a change, and then be able to have that running at scale. It's using the same services, the same core capabilities underpinning.
And lastly, Andrew, what do you hope that people take away from some of the discussions that are happening at the Appian booth and also up on the stage? Yeah,
so for me, the bit is people just being aware of it. I think Appian is an amazing technology. As a company, it's having been around 25 years. We've built out of doing really complex systems for major government institutions, major organisations globally. So that opportunity and those discussions are great. It's allowing people to really understand what Appian does and the pedigree and capability that when you then add the new capabilities around AI and services to a process, it becomes really powerful, but governed and structured in a way that you're not the organisation that grew up yesterday. You're an organisation that have foundational references, foundational capabilities. Medicaid, when that was originally done in the US, that all runs on Appian. So the ability for how to patients and service providers process. There's over 30 million processes of eligibility for Medicaid were all processed. Now, that's slowed down now, but we're processing through Appian. So when you talk about scale and complexity, the ability for people to build these unique environments. That's the opportunity for us, having people come by and talk about what we've done in Australia with customers, but also hopefully to think about the new world of what's possible when we think about these low-code and workflow and business process platforms.